from a standpoint of work, didn't feel like it was being matched. And then also, it seemed, like obviously when you're on a team like that and there's three of you, you guys need to be in constant communication when it comes to big decisions. And we had hired some people that I had no idea about. But now I learned that the people who you do it with has to, like, how fast you want to move. Like, the team needs to be in unison with that.
You have to be in the same wavelength.
Exactly.
Especially if you're partnering with people.
Exactly.
That's why it's very, very different. That's why it's like, for me, when I started out my first startup, like, it was important to understand who was on the same wavelength. But then at a certain point, people fell out of that wavelength.
Yeah, venture hustles, life is really what you make it. Building up your brand is whatever you create it. Really ain't no limit. You just gotta love it. Working day and night, it's all about the venture hustle. Hey, venture hustles. Time to take it to the next level. Let's go.
All right, welcome back to the Venture Hustles podcast. This is Saj. I'm one of the co-hosts of the show, and we've got...
You're Saj. I'm Jack. Welcome. How we doing?
Doing fantastic. We are actually doing a part 2 of your origin story today.
Yes.
In the last episode, we kind of cut right there because I know this was going to be a detailed breakdown of, your story and your experiences. And I guess we can pick up, where we left off.
Yeah. So I think we had left off with... now I'm in a place where I just left the first hardcore sales company, right? And now I'm going off into venture number 2.
Okay.
Now in venture number 2, here I am. So the main goal here was to create a distribution company. Now keep in mind I was in the industry for about moving on to, let's say at least 12 months at this point. So I'm very familiar with the ins and outs. And I'm with 2 guys who did also very well at that company. I'm like, okay, I have a good team here, So with any startup venture, going through all the paperwork, again, branding, this time around for me, I knew what I needed to do. Now it was just kind of about getting it done,
Yeah.
And so going through that process, now, we even progressed where making calls, had some sales in, making some money. Not much, but proof of concept, had been established. And, now it's just about long game, starting to hire people. We actually got to a point where we hired, I think, like 3 to 4 additional salespeople.
Okay.
They were remote. We didn't have an office or anything, but they were selling our products. We had our site up, vendors,
so you're talking about
entire thing.
Starting this new business with a couple of people from the old business.
Yep.
There was 3 of you, 3 partners, right? Just to kind of put some context to this.
Yeah.
And you were all 33% shareholders.
Yep.
Did you do paperwork, the whole 9?
Paperwork. Put in the X amount to get it started. It was a couple $1,000s each.
$2,000 each, startup money, and then you obviously learned from the first startup that you had, the event company, which was a very negative experience and a very abrupt experience for you in the beginning, right? So now this time around, you're kind of like, all right, here we go.
Make sure my T's are crossed, I's are dotted. That really wasn't I was very aware of this, obviously, maybe even a little paranoid, but I knew the guys pretty well.
Okay.
Good dudes. And so started it, sales coming in, product line going pretty well. We had a pretty large network and vendors just because we were in the space for so long. And so, probably about month 3 to 4.
What was the brand called?
The brand was called Pop Distribution.
Pop? What's the relevance here?
No relevance, just, I'm not really a big, name guy,
to
be honest
name
with
is
you.
everything.
I disagree.
I think it centers around your vision, your mission.
I mean, it can,
your brand.
but, I don't think people should be spending that much time on it. That's me.
I think you should spend some time on it. Not that much time on it. If you're hung up on it,
think about Google. Was there any relevance there?
Google is huge.
It is huge, but what does the name have to do?
Google's a verb.
For?
Everything.
What's the verb?
Google it.
Yeah.
What are you going to say?
Anyway,
Pop it?
What's Uber mean? What's Uber mean?
I don't know.
Exactly. It's just a name. The reason why
Uber
it has
means,
so
by the
much,
way, I think in German or like some other language, it means super, like extreme. Uber actually means something.
Okay. Well, even still,
it means something.
Yeah.
It doesn't have
So-
to mean anything, but
Yeah.
I just think that
Yeah, I mean, but that was the name. You know, like the branding was like red, white, red and white
American
primarily.
flag, American
no,
colors.
no, just
No?
red and white.
Okay.
And so Pop Distro, Pop Distribution, Pop Distro for short was the name. And about 4 months in, you know, things are starting to pick up. We made some hiring decisions, and one of the first things, or you know, some contributors that ultimately left to me kind of stepping away was I didn't feel like, you know, obviously from a paperwork standpoint, you know, everyone had the same percentages, you know, and everything like that. Takeaways were the same. But from a standpoint of work, didn't feel like it was being matched. And then also, it seemed, you know, like obviously when you're on a team like that and there's 3 of you, you guys need to be in constant communication when it comes to big decisions. And we had hired some people that I had no idea about.
Like how so?
We hired a couple salespeople.
Okay.
And before by the time I found out, everything was completed. They were on the team.
How did you know? How did you know not know what was going on?
Because they just did it.
Okay.
I had no idea. You know,
Okay.
I got a phone call the next day in our weekly meeting or whatever. It's like, yeah, we hired, you know, X, Y, and Z.
So y'all didn't have an office. You were all working remote.
Yeah, we
Okay.
would meet at, you know, one of the guys' houses. We had like a weekend meeting just to kind of check in and everything. But you know, during that weekend meeting, I was like, yeah, we hired X, Y, and Z. I was like, what do you mean we hired X, Y, and Z? I'm like, I didn't know about this. Why are we hiring them right now? And I started rattling off questions, objections, all these different things. And I was like, why didn't we talk about this? Like, this isn't a one-man show, my friend. You know, like, what are we doing here? So, you know, so that wound up happening. You know, it's not like we fired these people, but they were on still. And I was just like thinking to myself, why don't I know about this? You know? So at this point, communication seemed to be an issue. And then also, you know, I started feeling like the workload wasn't being properly distributed.
Yeah.
And then it came to a point where I wound up being like, hey, you know, guys, I think, I'm not sure if this is working out for me. I think I need to, you know, take a step back. That's what wound up happening. Signed whatever paperwork I needed to say, hey, you know, Jack's done, whatever.
So when initially, just to understand, I guess, context, initially
sure.
all of you came in as equal partners, equal
yep.
investment put in. So obviously the workload should have been distributed, but then people were kind of just like pulling all kinds of random stuff and
slacking. And then also, again, like for big decisions like that, I felt like I wasn't involved as I should have been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was your role?
I mean, at that point, it was really just like getting as much money in the door as possible.
Okay.
So just sales.
So
let's
sales.
say. Yeah.
What
And
about the other two?
That was pretty much all of our roles.
Okay.
You know, for the most part.
Yeah.
Getting money in and then kind of figuring out the other stuff later.
I mean, when you're starting a company and when you're starting a startup, it's never organized and it's always messy in the beginning.
It's chaotic and everything else. But what needs to be
We good?
okay. What needs to be in line is the communication with your team.
Yeah.
You know? And that even then I knew that.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I wound up kind of leaving them. And, you know, at that point, it was another huge learning lesson for me.
So were these guys still operational when you pieced out?
Yeah, they were.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not sure how much longer after. You know, I think now.
Are they still operational?
I don't think so. I actually
Okay.
went on their site like probably a couple months ago and like
Wasn't
gone,
active?
So,
Okay.
But again, that at this point, that's probably like 2 years ago. But we're in 2022, so yeah, probably like 2 to 3 years ago.
How long were you part of this operation?
Probably like 5 months.
Okay. So at this point, you're kind of like, this is your second startup. This has also
Yeah.
been a rough experience in a way.
Yeah, I mean, this was like different though because
Okay.
everything else aligned. But now I learned that the people who you do it with
Yeah.
has to, like, how fast you want to move. Like the team needs to be in unison with that.
You have to be in the same wavelength.
Exactly.
Especially if you're partnering with people.
Exactly.
That's why it's very, very different. That's why it's like for me, when I started out my first startup, like it was important to understand who was on the same wavelength. But then at a certain point, people fell out of that wavelength, and I was the only one on that same wavelength. So it was kind of like, you're either about it or you're not about it.
Yeah, I mean,
and I never
sure.
like created an opportunity where it was going to be like, okay, you have to be with me. So it was like,
yeah, I mean,
you know, so
100%. And like the biggest lesson for me was really that, you know, like not everyone's going to try and, you know, dupe you, for the lack of a better word.
Yeah.
But then you also, the next level is you want to make sure everyone's in alignment. Everyone wants to progress and move as fastly as you do or as slow as you do.
Yeah.
And that was really the main takeaway there. You know, there wasn't anything sour about it at all.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was very, you know, smooth process, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, again, that was another learning lesson for me, you know, where that was like the next level, you know, kind of understanding that.
Yeah.
So
how old are you now? This 20.
Now I'm probably like 21.
Okay.
I'm like 21.
21, getting close to when I met you, pretty much, almost. A little bit.
Yeah, almost.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, this is probably, you know, I'm looking at my notes here. This is probably 2000 and end of 2018, heading into 2019.
Okay. Yeah.
So, end of 2018, moving to 2019. Now I'm back on the hunt, looking for another opportunity.
Yeah.
And I wound up going to working at this limo company. Did pretty well there. Now I felt like I had the skills, and I needed a place where I can just kind of just make like a good amount of money.
Yeah.
You know. So I worked at this limo company. Did pretty well there. You know, I was in a place, you know, where putting up, you know, 80, 90,000 a month in sales, selling limo rides and stuff. It was, you know, a little family kind of shop, but they're one of the larger companies on the island.
Yeah.
So, it was a good experience. And
what was your responsibility there?
Sales
Okay.
guy.
Nice.
Sales guy. So I'd be dealing with in-person clients, was a little bit newer for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, showing them the vehicles, you know, a little bit more
different type of sales,
customer service-esque feel.
Yeah. More tangible.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a difficult job, but it was different.
Yeah.
And I was there for probably about 6 months.
Okay.
And during that time, made some good money. I felt like I got a lot of experience there. And in the back of my head, I knew from a resume standpoint, this was a good thing to have on there, you know, because this was a place where the numbers looked really good, you know. So working there, and over the last, you know, let's say 2 months of me being there, you know, in a limo company, in a limo business, the weekends are always going to be the busiest, right? Because that's where buses go out and everyone's doing stuff. And I felt like at some points that I was doing more than what my job description said, and I wasn't getting anything for it. It was as if I was supposed to do it.
Yeah.
I didn't rock with that at all.
Yeah.
So I wound up kind of bringing that up to management. They said, hey, go talk with the owner. And I wound up talking with the owner, and it didn't really go at all the way I expected it to go. And the consensus was pretty much like, yeah, like, you know, we're a big family here. Like, we help each other.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it is. I'm just like, I'm not helping. Like, I'm literally doing it, you know? Like, I'm a sales guy, and I'm being a dispatcher for the limo drivers, where when 8 things break down on Saturday, I'm the one dealing with it. Like, I'm not doing that. What do you mean? I'm the sales guy, you know?
Yeah.
And that was kind of the consensus there. And
what do you mean? I'm a sales guy.
I you know what? It was one of the first times where like there wasn't any room for progression.
Yeah.
And I was doing a good job, and I just didn't understand why it was like that.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't make sense to me. And so, you know, then I was in a place where I'm kind of toughing it out. Now I'm doing something that I don't want to do, which obviously, as you know, if you're listening to part 1 and as we're going through part 2, I go in and out of a lot of opportunities. Because I strongly believe that if you think it's not working for you, you don't like it, like, just get out.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, you know,
don't waste your time. Don't waste the people's time that you're
100%.
with. Like, you're not doing anybody a favor.
No,
you know?
I mean, and again, it's like, for me, I always felt like these were wins because I'm just getting a boatload of experience in every single thing that I did. And it's just, again, just building up to building my skills and then building my resume, let's say. And again, like, I'm still on the path.
Yeah.
I'm still building the foundations of like who I am, my skills, all these different things. So after I'm at the company, kind of now I'm in a place where I know I want to leave. Looking, grinding this out. It was horrible. And for some reason, I think I put, I have a couple, I'm applying to a couple different places. And I get like this weird call on my phone. It was super late. It was like 9 p.m. And I get this, I listen to this voicemail. It's like, hey, Jack, my name is, so-and-so. I have a startup. I'm in the dietary supplement industry. I see your resume online. I want to talk with you about, being a larger part of the company here. It's about me and like 3 other guys. We've made some really good progress over the last year or so, and I want to talk with you. And I listened to it, and I texted him, and I was like, wow, this is kind of nuts.
Yeah.
It seemed like a genuine guy, nice guy on the phone. I was like, okay, this is cool. This might be what I'm looking for. Here we go again. And wound up getting, going to the interview. He showed me the facility. He was doing a lot of like dietary supplements, so things like test boosters, things like, and I mean test boosters, testosterone booster for people that work out, dietary supplements like people trying to lose weight, that kind of stuff. So I was familiar with this space because I worked with CBD and like that's or hemp, so it's in the same field. So like, okay, I'm familiar with this. And so went on the interview, went really well, good guy. And now I was in a place where all of the paperwork and stuff wasn't my company, right? But I was going to be a major part of building it.
Yeah.
So now I'm in a place where I was running the sales department there. I was in charge of kind of building out the sales structure, getting all the softwares together, creating, what would eventually be their wholesale, sales sheet, where it's like, okay, because I'm talking with the guy and he was doing a lot of customer, business to B2C, right? So he's dealing with a lot of customers. Like, hey, why don't we try and, attack some of the distributors? Margins would be smaller, but the deal size would be much larger. He was at a place where he was doing 10 to 15K in revenue, a month. So we wound up doing that. And, we were in a place where within 2 months, I bring it to about 30K per month. We had 3 salespeople that I was managing. We're doing 30K a month.
Like revenue?
Yeah.
So each of you, the people on the sales team were doing 30K a month?
No, total.
Total as in the team. Okay,
so,
gotcha.
We're talking I was doing maybe 15. The other guys were putting up 8 or 7, whatever it was.
Okay.
The lowest month was about 30. I think the highest month was somewhere around 50.
Okay.
So, the average, let's say, was probably 35 to 40.
Gotcha.
And I was doing that, and then it came to a place where I was like, okay, listen, we're doing pretty well. Now let's discuss what I'm doing. Not only my role, but from a compensation standpoint, what are we doing here?
Mm-hmm.
And so I wound up working out some pretty favorable terms for myself where, it was a so smaller company we were building, but, I was in a place where I was getting, I don't even remember, maybe, I think it was 10 to 15% of all the sales every single month. So not only would I get, what I was getting already, but then essentially I was getting a piece off of the entire pot because we were doing a lot of e-commerce business and then also the sales, just from cold calling.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, I could definitely make some good money here as we start to scale. Yet again, as things are starting to go well, there are some hiccups.
Mm.
And, some of those hiccups this was maybe, let's say, January of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And, obviously COVID's right around the corner. I don't know that though.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened was I was owed, a decent amount of money. At least at that time for me, this was a decent amount of money.
What do you mean owed? They don't pay you out immediate?
No, that month I was going to make a good amount of money.
Okay.
Right? We're talking about maybe mid-month.
Gotcha.
Right? So at the end of the month, I know I got 2, 3, 4 G's coming in. Right?
Okay.
This was from my sales and then what the team's doing, what the company's doing. And so what had happened was, he had called me up and said, hey, I'm thinking, what do you think about this? And essentially, he had told me that I want to kind of hold your pay and I want to use that money to grow the company.
What the fuck?
Yeah. And I was like, listen, I'm open to that, right? But what's
Were
in
you
it
a
for
partner?
Me? No.
Were you an equity holder?
No, just the
Your pay is
director
your
of
pay.
sales. I know.
If you were getting any sort of revenue share, that would be a different story. How can he just take your pay?
I kind of was, right? I was getting 15% of the net sales.
But it doesn't matter.
What,
At the end of the day, and it's still, can't do that.
I agree. So, and I told him,
was he saying that he wasn't going to pay you any of it?
So he was saying that I want to hold it and you can get, like, I'll pay you on it, in like a month or two.
No, that's unethical. Like,
right.
Probably, the better route for him would have been, like, and the more ethical way of doing that would be, I'll pay you out, but we need to discuss terms moving forward.
Next time.
Yeah, because obviously you can't do this.
Yeah,
blah, blah. That's more honest, right?
For sure. And what I had told him was like, listen, like, I'm open to it, but what am I going to get on the back end?
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much what I had told him was, hey, like, I'll do it, but I want X% of interest on the money,
mm-hmm.
right? So if you hold it for 1 month, it's going to be X% on, like, let's say the 3 Gs. If it's 2 months, it's going to be X, whatever it is, right? He did not like that at all.
Mm-hmm.
Did not like it.
That sounds like a horrible idea, first of all. That was a bad idea.
I'm like 21, bro. Like, I don't
you didn't know much of
come on.
But that's
what I thought.
I can see why he would be like, what the hell? Because that's a very unorthodox, what you're saying.
Yeah, well, I thought it was unorthodox for him to do what he was doing because we signed the agreement.
Yeah.
I've already negotiated. It's been like 3 months. I'm like, dude.
You should have stuck to your guns and be like, no, this is what we talked about.
So what wound up happening is I was like, no, like, I'm not doing that. He goes, all right, I got to work some things out on my end, whatever. So I used to go into the office like 8 a.m. and it was in Nassau. So I'd be on the road by like 7. So that Tuesday, Monday, whatever, I wake up to a call, 6:37, and him saying, you're done.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're fired. I was
Okay.
like, what? And so I was like, okay, like, just send me, the X amount, and, best of luck, man, So he sent me the amount, which, to be honest, I was a little bit surprised that he was actually going to do it. I didn't think he was, but he did.
At least he honored that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, that morning I was like, wow, here we go again. I mean, I'm thinking to myself, what's going on? I'm like, I go all in every single time.
Yeah.
I go all in.
I mean,
every time. And I'm a good guy. I'm
Yeah.
integrity based. I do what I say I'm going to do and more.
Mm-hmm.
Just like, I have people trying to fuck me every single time. Like, what the fuck?
Like, yeah, you start like doubting and you're like, what the hell's going on?
And now, like, after that, like, I had, glimpses of that in the first startup and the second startup. And now I was like, okay, I need to find good people.
Yeah.
That was my main priority.
Yeah.
Good people. Everything else, if they're good people, I'll be able to work out.
Yeah.
And so I did that. Now, it's March. COVID's hitting. We're rolling around to, July-ish. And that is when I applied to Finally Free Productions.
Hey.
And
Let's go.
Funny enough, during that time, right, because we did the interview and went well, right, and wound up getting the job. And probably like 2-3 weeks in, the guy actually gave me a call, that guy from the previous.
Who, the last guy?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Let's say John. John gave me a call. The guy didn't want to give me the commission or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, hey, like, I want you back.
Mm-hmm.
I actually wound up going to the facility. He told me, he goes, listen, like, a lot's changed since you left. I've upgraded the facility. It's 3 times the size.
Yeah.
I'm now actually manufacturing all the supplements in-house.
Yeah.
All these different things. I'm like, oh, sure, why not? So I went there, and, same guy, same dude. He showed me the facility. It was nice. It was good. I could tell he was still, like, in the startup kind of mentality after however many months it was.
Mm-hmm. So he fired you, then he called you asking you back.
Yeah.
Okay.
He wanted a second taste.
Mm.
And I went there. I was like, hey, this looks good, but I think I'm pretty good where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
And I can remember him being like, we're doing really well. Like, now we're doing like 60, 70K a month. I was like, really? I'm like, good for you, man. And he's like, I can show you the PO orders. Like, you want to see them? I'm like, no, like, you're good. And I can remember once he said that to me, I was like, he's still on the same wavelength. Because now I know that he's trying to prove it to me, instead of me just kind of taking it as a word kind of thing, So obviously I was like, nah, like, I'm good, man. Like, whatever. I was like, and I also had mentioned to him, like, listen, like, if you need me to kind of build out some of the systems for you, because that's what I've always been kind of good at, like structuring like systems and like workflows.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I did that for him originally. So I was like, listen, man, like if you want me to kind of help you out and do that, like I'd be open to still doing that. We can work something out.
Like as a consultant.
Yeah, almost like as a consultant kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean that would have to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, he said, yeah, that sounds good, and that just kind of never came to fruition. But you know, at that point, that's when you know, I started here at Finally Free Productions. You know?
Yeah, this was peak COVID.
This is to 2020 in August, September.
Oh, it was earlier with the interview process, right?
Yeah.
It was like July. Jack came in, walks into the door in this conference room, and he was one of the candidates we were interviewing that day.
Yeah.
You're very charismatic, very passionate. You're a solid guy. You seemed very genuine. And yeah, man, I mean, that's when I met you. It was during COVID, and
I actually got COVID.
You spread COVID in the office.
No one else got it.
Yeah.
No one else got it.
We had to shut down the office because you had COVID.
No one else got it though.
Sure.
What, did they?
Did they? Who knows?
No, they
COVID was a
didn't.
question mark back then.
That was crazy for me.
Yeah.
I was like, because I remember talking to like my family.
Yeah.
I was like, yo, like, again, because you know, and this might be.
It's like, do I have a black cloud over my head?
Well,
Like,
that,
shit,
but
like,
then
you
also,
know?
like as I mentioned before, I was never afraid to leave
Yeah.
if I didn't like it.
Yeah.
And this is even something, if you're listening here, if you're in a spot you don't like, leave. Like, don't leave without finding something else, because you'll just kind of, you know, screw yourself from an income standpoint.
Yeah.
From speaking from personal experience. But, like, don't be afraid to leave and start over, right? And, you know, in this particular scenario, this was the first time I was like, you know, you guys seem super cool. You guys were young. Seemed like there was a lot of growth potential. And I thought what you were doing was interesting, but then also I knew from like the future, like, you know, technology in itself is going to be a growing industry.
Yeah.
Right. So all those things kind of checked the boxes for me, and I can remember thinking, I hope I get this job, which is I've never even said that in my life.
Yeah.
And then got the job, got COVID. I'm like, oh shit,
Yeah.
are they gonna fire me?
Yeah.
Gracefully, you know, you guys didn't cut the ties there. And
Yeah, there are people that ask me. I mean, even if they were like, you gotta get closer.
Mm-hmm.
Even if we were people in my family are joking about it, it's like, you gotta let this guy go. He spread COVID. You have to shut down your office.
Is that real?
Yeah,
No.
for 100%.
No
I don't know if they were joking, or if they were being serious, or they were upset that I had to like shut down the office, right?
I thought
And
that.
we had a lot of people then too. The thing is that when that happened, to me, I was just like, man, it's an unknown thing.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what's going on.
I remember calling you.
Yeah.
Or like
I was like, at
texting
least
you right away. I'm like, yo, like,
that's
I'm
exactly.
so sorry, but like I got COVID.
Yeah, you said your dad got it or something happened,
Yeah.
and I appreciated that you were at least weren't making a BS excuse or something like that, and you were
I sent
honest.
you the tests and everything. I was like,
Yeah.
I got COVID. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I appreciated that more than anything. So I was like, you know, it's okay. We'll ride it out. We'll get back.
Mm-hmm.
So this happened. I don't know if it was before or after
I
training.
literally went through, I think, 1 week of training and got
And then we had to cancel it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
training was like 2 weeks. There was another week of live training. It was a 3-week process, I believe. We couldn't even finish it because Jack got COVID. And
yeah.
but when we resumed, everything was back to normal, and we opened things up, and everything was fun. And you're still here.
Yeah,
and
I'm
this
still
is
here.
the longest you've been in a position.
By a
In a
mile.
way. Yeah.
By a mile. I mean, working on almost 2.5 years.
I agree. You know, just to that point, man, I agree heavily with you on that, where it's all about people and the people that you work with and you interact with, because it's
Yeah.
like your second family in a way, and that's why I always say that at Final Few Productions, the people here are family, because we see each other a lot, almost as much as we see our own family.
I mean,
like the hours,
yeah,
like, you
man.
know.
I mean, for you and I, like you might argue I even see him more.
Even more,
I see you
yeah.
more.
More,
you know?
yeah.
That's just kind of what we're doing right now. But
Yeah, I mean, right now we don't have any lives because we're just working on so many different things, and it's super hectic. But there are, like, from our experience and our past experience, there's gonna be bad people and like evil people, shitty people, assholes in every company and organization, whether
they're
you like it or
everywhere.
not. They're everywhere.
In the world.
We had it this year on numerous occasions. Really bad individuals that had malicious intent and caused a lot of damage, and they're no longer part of the company.
Yeah.
You know, but the reality is you got to cut out the cancer. You
Yeah.
have to.
And
And whether it's you leaving or sometimes it's even okay if you get kicked out of that situation. It's not like a negative experience. That's a learning lesson.
Yeah.
And you realize that it could have maybe been a lot worse, right?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, and there were also like a lot of times during this journey so far where like I'm a big personal development kind of guy, always trying to sharpen the skills and improve the craft a little bit. And I'm big into personal development, going to events, getting around people that are like-minded. So I was for a while, for about 1-2 years, a part of like an e-commerce like organization where it was big on personal development, really big on just business 101. Learned so much there. Gave me a lot of contacts, was able to expand my network in a really good way.
Yeah. When you came into the company, you suggested, like, I don't know if it was you, I think a book club, because like you read and I read and we did this for a little bit. And
where's that book club now?
It's dead.
Lasted maybe not even a week. We did one book. I was like one of 2 people to read it, and that was it.
Maybe we can revive it someday.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Probably not, but maybe.
Why not? We need people that are rallying behind it. It can't just be one person,
for sure,
or 2 people. Like you need like a whole group of people that are like rallying behind it. But man, I mean, you coming in, like for us, it was a good experience. It was good, and you're a very hard worker. And
man.
I'm not just saying this to gas you up. I just think that just the same way where you're looking for like dedicated, loyal people to work with. The same thing with us, loyalty is like super important, and it's also like your intent, like when you're getting involved, like how clean is your intent?
I mean, typically you don't really know, until it's too late, let's say, when in the bad situations. But I mean, it's been a good journey so far. I mean, I guess personally speaking, was able to progress like pretty quickly, within the company. You
did pretty good on your first year, and like starting off with no experience in tech, having no background in tech, coming in from a completely different avenue in sales. You were just thrown into the wild, and you did pretty good. You're really good in the training, and just like even in the beginning was a little bit of a hurdle for you, but then once you overcome it, you did pretty good. Even in the first half of your second year is good. I mean, this is the year where a lot of things were turbulent for everybody, just in general with the company, but I think we're in a good place.
No, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
And we've started so many different projects together. Jack's like, here's the thing, man. I told you this before. You were never given the opportunity to fly in any place, and with here, like, you came up with an idea or a concept, and like it wasn't just like, if it's a bad idea, you know how I am about it, like I'll tell you. But there's no such thing about a bad idea. Like you can't not voice it because you think it's a bad idea. But like when you had good ideas, like Moray, like the blockchain stuff, and like that was like good, we ran with it and it was good. And
I mean, it's done pretty well.
So yeah,
for sure, man. So I would say, I guess in kind of wrapping up here, hoping for those listening, I hope there might be someone out there that had a similar journey, and let's say hasn't quite, gotten through it, or in the middle of it. And, I would just say there's good people out there, keep looking. And I would say just work on yourself, because life has a funny thing. So it's a funny way of just kind of working out, some cases, and really every case. And just keep working on yourself. Understand the value that you bring to the table. Don't let anyone talk you out of that. Understand what you can do, for a company, for someone, for yourself even.
Know your self-worth and what you're capable of doing. I mean, it'll take some time.
Yes.
Yeah.
It will take some time for sure. But, again, always keep that in mind. But then also, I would say never do anything out of pure emotion. Try and be as strategic as you can with everything that you're doing. At the end of the day, just believe in yourself. Read whatever you have to read. Get around people that you think that you need to get around. Take out the negative people, vibes, whatever it is. Cut them out.
Cut it out.
You have to do that so many times. It's weird at first. Sometimes it can be even upsetting, but long term, it always works out for the better, and you'll be so happy that you did. So. Yeah. Yeah, man. I think that's it for Mr. Jack's origin story here.
It was good, man. I think
I appreciate it.
I appreciate you breaking it down, and I think a lot of people will be able to relate and understand. Like I could relate with a lot of the shitty negative experiences, and it's like if you there's very few people in the world kind of go through a smooth run, you know, and it's very, very rare, and it's all luck based.
I mean, and the thing is, like, I wouldn't even change it either.
Some of the greatest success stories and most successful people in the world go through shit like this.
Yeah.
And if you can't go and deal with hardships and adverse situations like this, like you will never be able to, succeed in whatever avenue that you have. Like,
I mean, and I think also, like, one of the last things I kind of want to close out on is, like, just because you're young doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean anything. Like, I'm a pretty young guy. Like, I'll be turning 25. Like,
yeah, I would say you've matured, like, and even like your growth personally, like here over the 2 years, like 2+ years, has been quite substantial. Like, is the way you handle things, and just you've experienced so much. Yeah. But yeah, you can never let the negative things.
Don't let someone say, "Oh, you're 19 or you're 20 or 20." You can't do that. Or on the other side is you're 19, you're 20, 21. You need to do that. Yeah. Right? Don't let anyone tell you that. You're on your own journey. Don't be afraid to fail during your journey. To do things that, let's say, you aren't expected to do, or people aren't expecting you to do. It's your life. You do whatever you want, and you can look at me as an example. Think about in overall, or I guess the word I'm looking for is perspective. Think about a 20-year-old kid, 21-year-old kid, jumping from job to job to job. Mm-hmm. Typically, it's like parents are like, dude, like, what are you doing? Find something to lock it down. Mm-hmm. And I got so much of that. It's like, no, like, I don't like it. I'm not doing it. Mm-hmm. If I can't see myself doing it long term, not doing it. Yep. You know what I mean? And you're just able to pick up, some pieces and learn from different situations and experiences, and eventually you'll find something, and you'll get there. So yeah, man, for sure. I think it's pretty insightful understanding. I do my best. That's the truth. That is what has occurred so far. I mean, that's the whole purpose of these episodes. It's like anyone that's been listening to us, all the people that have been downloading our podcasts, and people that have been watching us, even the clips, like, you get to see us. We're not super famous people. We're not famous people even. We're not like billionaires, like crazy people. Like, we're just some normal people that have maybe similar stories as you, but have taken different paths in life to get to a point where we're content, or we're happy, or getting to the point of that, or just building a future on the path. Just continuing to move forward, progress, get to, hit some goals. Many have been hit already, but there's also, many to go. Yeah, and, exactly. It's follow us for our I guess updates. Our progress. We'll keep. We probably should do like some of these, like, what's happening in our lives types. We can do that. Episodes every couple months or something like that. I don't know. Without a doubt, just trust the process. Yeah, I've ingrained that into my brain. When things are going well, when things aren't going well, you trust the process. I created like a little company called Process Driven once, because I believe in it. Because you trust the process. Yeah, you have to. You have to trust it. Typically, it's out of your control. You can only control what you actually do. Yeah. And then also, a lot of times, you can't control what happens to you, but you can always control what you think and how you think. And it's vital. So, love, positive vibes only. PVO. So, I guess with that being said, you want to send us out? Yeah, we can kind of wrap this up. As always, we appreciate everyone listening. I guess for this particular episode, I'm hoping, a few of you may have kind of connected or related to, learn a couple things from my experiences. And as always, you can find us on YouTube. You can find us on TikTok, Instagram, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere that you think there's a podcast. That's where we'll be. And until next time, hope you are enjoying the day or night, wherever you may be. See you soon. See ya. Yeah, venture hustles, life is really what you make it. Building up your brand is whatever you create it. Really ain't no limit. You just gotta love it. Working day and night, it's all about the venture hustle. Hey, venture hustles. Time to take it to the next level. Let's go.